Stefan here with you, S&E's Garage, and behind us we have a combined 1,250 horsepower and 24 cylinders, and we're going to talk about it. Behind us we have our V8 Dream Garage. On our right we have our 2016 Lexus GSF with 467 horsepower. In the middle we have our 2013 Mustang GT with the 5-liter Coyote, 420 horsepower. And over here we have our Dodge Durango RT with the 5.7-liter Hemi with a whopping 375 horsepower. Now all of these cars share one thing in common: a cross-plane, naturally aspirated V8 engine under the hood. The Mustang and the Lexus are very similar. They're both 5-liter engines, and they both have quad cams or double overhead cam, 2 heads, that's 4 cams. And then the Dodge takes the more generic approach with a push rod, 2 valve per cylinder V8. All right guys, so what we've basically created here is a V8 powered vehicle for any occasion you can think of. So let's start with the Durango. This is a family SUV. We can take the kids in it, we could throw the stroller in the back, and we could go for a nice drive out to the country, or we could go to the supermarket, or we could even go off-roading. It is 4-wheel drive, 8-speed automatic, so the fuel mileage is not terrible. And we do have that torquey 5.7-liter V8. So let's go ahead, let's check her out real quick. So you'll see we have some nice heated and cooled leather seats here. This is a 2021, so we do have the updated infotainment setup here. Here we have our second row with the car seats in them, with still plenty of room. And then back here is right now where we keep our stroller, but there is a third row back there for another 2 people. So this is a 6-seat V8 family SUV. Here we have our Mustang GT. This is the car you go in when you just want to go and have fun. You got 420 horsepower under your right foot. You got a solid rear axle, very stiff suspension. This has some very tasteful suspension mods. Ford Performance dampers. It's lowered on an Eibach lowering kit. And we do have some 20-inch Vartini wheels to top this look off. This car has around 58,000 miles on it. It's a 2013. And this is actually a very rare car because, number one, it has the red interior. It has the Brembo brakes. And then to top it off, it's got the glass roof, which is a very rare feature on these cars, believe it or not. So let's just take a walk around it, let you take a good look. The body, this car is very clean. We looked for a while for this. We wanted to get an SRT8 with the 6.4-liter Durango, but we figured we had the Mustang for when her and I just want to go out and, you know, blast around. So we saved a little bit of money here and just went with the 5.7. Now to our right here, we have the Lexus GSF. Now this is my favorite car out of the bunch. I've liked these cars since the day they came out. I've always been a Toyota enthusiast and purist, and it honestly, it doesn't get any better than this, in my opinion. Now, as far as power delivery, this car and the Mustang drive very similarly as far as power output, but beyond that, they are totally different cars. Now, I say that they're similar because they're both 5-liter V8s, they're both double overhead cam engines, and they both, like I said, they're same displacement, same type of engine. They drive very similarly. They sound completely different, but they drive very similarly. So let's go ahead, open the doors here on this Lexus. Now this is a sport luxury, so this is the car you get in when you want to drive in comfort, but you want to be able to keep up with or even beat the Mustang. Now I really want to line these cars up and see how they fare. But the missus is pregnant right now, so when she's no longer pregnant, we're going to line these cars up and see how they do. But let's go ahead, pop the hoods, talk about these engines. All right, guys, so we're going to start over here, partially because I'm biased, but this is the 5-liter 2UR GSE naturally aspirated Toyota Lexus V8. Now, this V8 engine shares a lot in common with the engine that you will find under the hood of a Tundra or a Sequoia. It is basically a de-stroked variant of that engine with direct injection, high compression, and it has cylinder heads that are actually engineered and designed by Yamaha. Toyota and Yamaha have teamed up plenty of times in the past. When you think of the 2JZ, you think of the 2ZZ and the Celica GTS, anything with a GE or a GSE head has had Yamaha's design touches to help those cylinder heads flow. So Yamaha knows what they're doing. They helped design the engine in the Lexus LFA, and they helped Toyota squeeze 467 horsepower out of 5 liters, which is insane when you think that this 5.7 over here has almost 100 less horsepower than this engine. So with all that horsepower, you need to be able to stop it. So we have our 6-piston Brembo brakes here. We actually just replaced these brakes. They are F branded, but they are actually Brembo brakes. They're made in Italy, actually, the calipers. And then to back it up, we have 4-piston Brembo brakes in the rear, along with our quad exhaust. And we have a staggered tire setup. We have 275s in the rear and 255s in the front. That is factory. Now, behind that 467 horsepower behemoth of an engine, we have Toyota's 8-speed Aisin transmission. It is designed by Aisin for Toyota. Toyota and Aisin are synonymous. They go hand in hand. So this is an in-house designed transmission. This is the first 8-speed automatic transmission ever offered in any vehicle on the road. And yes, it's a couple steps behind the ZF 8-speed here in this Durango. I think that shifts a little bit better and faster in sport mode. But I like the shift feel that this has. The shifts are very firm when you have it in sport mode. In fact, on the 1-2 shift, it'll actually break the tires loose, which is something that, it's all-wheel drive, it's not going to do that. But even if it wasn't all-wheel drive and it had the power, it wouldn't do that because the shifts are just so smooth. This is more of an animalistic V8 and 8-speed transmission, whereas that is more of like a fine-tuned transmission, if that makes sense. Now, the GSF variant of the GS is more than just an appearance kit with a big engine. They thought of everything here. So if you look through this vent here, we have a radiator in there. That is a transmission cooler. This vent here, we have another radiator. That is an engine oil cooler. And then through here, we have heating ducts that actually make their way all the way back behind the wheel well there to cool these Brembo brakes. So this is not just a car that they slapped some lipstick on and sent out the door with a V8 engine. This is a ground up, you know, Toyota looked at this thing and they really made a wonderful track luxury car. Now we're over to the Mustang. This Mustang has the Coyote V8. This is the Gen 1 Coyote. The Coyote is based on the modular V8 engine family, so it is directly related to the 4.6, both 2-valve and 3-valve. But other than that, it's basically a ground-up redesign. It's got quad overhead cams, so 2 cams in each head. It's got 32 valves, and because it is a Gen 1, it does not have the variable intake manifold with the flaps to change the runner length. It is just a 1-stage intake. The Gen 2 Coyote picked up a 2-stage intake, and it also picked up bigger intake valves and exhaust valves, and they tweaked a couple of things and got 435 horsepower out of it versus this 420. But behind this engine we have the 6R80 6-speed automatic transmission, which is actually a very good transmission. They use this in their pickup trucks and things of the sort, and it's actually been known to withstand upwards of 1,000 horsepower out of these Coyote V8s. You throw a Helion twin turbo kit on this thing, you don't even have to touch the trans, maybe just a tune to adjust the shift firmness, and this thing, you let it eat, it'll take it all day. Now, because this is the S197 variant of the Mustang GT, we do not have the independent suspension that the S550 has. So underneath this car, if you can see it, we have a solid rear axle that you will find under an F-150. Now that's good and that's bad. For drag racing, it's awesome. Independent suspensions are not really known for, being good at drag racing. Most cars with independent suspensions that people turn into race cars, they swap out for a solid axle. So this car, the way it's set up, it's good. But if you wanted a road course car, I would definitely look at the S550 because it has that independent suspension. Now, like I said, this is a rare car with the red leather seats and the glass roof. Very quickly, let me just open the door here and show you. Up here we have our glass roof. This opens up, and the back seats are like new, never touched. Now, last but certainly not least, we have our 2021 Durango RT. Like I said, this has just a regular pushrod Hemi V8. I believe this is a 3rd gen Hemi. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not really very well versed in these because they're not really my forte. My fiance likes Jeeps and she likes Dodges, so this is what she wanted, and I was happy to oblige. My only preference was that we got a V8, which is what we got here. And then we topped it off with a JLT cold air intake. As you can see here, I don't leave any of my cars stock. I have parts coming for this. There's already parts on this, and there's already parts on this, and we're not done with this yet, so stay tuned. But there's really not a whole lot to say about this thing. It's got the towing package so that we can tow stuff with it. We have a 22-foot Grady White boat that we will be towing this in and out of the water with. Like I mentioned earlier, this has a ZF 8-speed transmission. I believe it's the 8HP70. Great transmission. Like I said, shifts awesome. When you put it in shift mode, it shifts very well, very fast, very smooth. Smoother than the Lexus, like I said, but I prefer the way the Lexus shifts just because of the way it shifts. But like I showed you in here, it is a very, very comfortable place to be. I have no complaints with this car. This thing runs and drives great. So with that being said, let's get you set up in these cars. We're going to go drive each one, and we're going to show you how they're similar and how they're different. So we're here in the Lexus GSF. We're starting with this first because, again, I am biased. This is probably my favorite car of the group. But let's go ahead and take you for a ride, and we're going to talk about, how the car drives, power delivery, things like that. Now, like I said earlier, this is a 5-liter naturally aspirated V8. So the power delivery is very linear. There's not a whole lot of torque down low, but the harder you push it, the more it delivers. And that's what I like the most about it. It's not like the Hemi, whether that be the 5.7 or the 6.4, where it makes a ton of grunt down low and then kind of peters out as you get higher in the rev range. This car makes its peak horsepower around 100 RPM shy of redline. So like I said, the harder you push, the more it gives, and it loves every minute of it. Now, with that being said, it is very dailyable. I could drive this car around like a normal human, keep my foot out of the pedal, get over 20 miles to the gallon, and feel like I'm driving a Lexus, because that is what we are in. These build quality, of these cars is bar none, We have Alcantara on the dashboard. We have it on the armrest. We have beautiful leather seats, heated and cooled. The infotainment kind of sucks. I'll be the first one to tell you that. I don't like this mouse pad stuff. Give me my touchscreen and get rid of this junk. But it amazes me that they're still putting this stuff in cars all the way up to, you know, 2021, 2022. I believe their current cars might still have this. Now, once we go ahead and get out of this residential area, we're gonna let this V8 engine sing a little bit, and I'll kind of show you what I mean about how it pulls very linear and all the way to red line. Guys, so what we're gonna do here is right down here we have our mode selection. So we're gonna go into Sport S Plus, and then we're gonna slap our shifter over, and we're gonna downshift a couple gears. That way we're ready to rock and roll once we come out of this turn. And I just want you guys to listen here. This thing just sings. The paddle shifters are extremely responsive. And to be completely honest with you, if you want to drive this thing spirited, you need to use the paddles, because this transmission is a little bit lazy to downshift. Even in sport mode, right now we are cruising, and I want to say we're probably in 3rd or 4th gear, and if I hammer it, it's going to have to downshift another 2 gears, and it takes a little while to do it. So here we are, 50 miles an hour, foot to the floor. I don't know if you can hear it or if you can, you know, tell, but there was a little bit of a delay there, whereas if we downshift it, it's ready to go. And these shifts are lightning fast. So now we're gonna push this button in, we're gonna go back to normal mode, and we're gonna cruise. And again, you're in a nice, quiet, refined Lexus. It just has a party trick. It's got almost 500 horsepower under the hood. This car will put a smile on my face every single time I do that. It will never fail. Now, one thing I want to touch on with this car is Toyota's dual stage cold air intake setup. I did a ton of research because I wanted to do a cold air intake on this, and I actually talked to the guys over at RR Racing. And they informed me that Toyota and Lexus designed this airbox so well that they could not do anything with it to improve horsepower or flow. And the last thing that they wanted to do was design a system that's going to cost you power. So all that they have you change is the air hose that goes from the throttle body to the airbox. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go part throttle here, and I want you guys to listen. At 3,600 RPMs, I believe it is. It might be 35 or 38. I don't remember exactly. There is a flap that opens up and allows the engine to breathe better, and it is an audible difference. So let me go ahead and just ease into it and you'll hear it. You can hear on the downshift there. Let me try to get you in a better gear here. All right, so we are at 3,000 RPM, and I'm going to ease into it. Just like that. That flapper opens up and allows the engine to breathe better, and it gives you that awesome induction noise. This car has the loudest induction noise of any car I've ever owned with the stock intake. It is just, it makes you want to get in the pedal. It's such a rewarding sound and a rewarding experience. This is the funnest car I've ever had. So here we are, we're coming to make a turn. Like I said, we're gonna downshift here, get down into 2nd gear, make our turn, and power out. This is great. Alright guys, here we are in the Mustang GT. Now like I said, this car delivers its power very similarly to the Lexus, but that is where the similarities end. These cars are polar opposites. The Lexus is a comfortable cruiser with a ton of power, that you can take on the track. This car is not what I would call daily drivable because of the suspension it has. The exhaust, as you can hear, is extremely loud, and it's just not that comfortable. The seats are nice, the seats are comfortable, but beyond that, the road noise in this car is much louder than the Lexus, which is, you know, this brand new was a $40,000 car, and that Lexus was an $85,000 car, so that's to be expected. But this car just isn't something that you're going to want to get in and drive every day, because you're not going to enjoy it. Going over bumps, it's very harsh. Yeah, that's probably, like I said, because it's got the Ford Performance suspension, and then the rims and tires we have on here don't help. It's just not something that I could see myself daily driving, but it is an awesome weekend car, and this is very much a weekend car because we don't drive it much. This windshield is disgusting. That's why you just heard me put the wipers on. But once we get this engine warmed up a little here, we'll get onto the, you know, the main road, just like we did with the Lexus. We'll open it up and we'll let you hear it sing. Now, this does have a few issues that I do need to fix. Off of the headers, you have the downpipes, which go up to the H-pipe, and right there I have an exhaust leak at both of those flanges, so I do need to replace those clamps. The leak is after the oxygen sensors, so it's not affecting how the car runs, and it does get better when it warms up, but on a cold start, you definitely hear it clicking under your feet. A little bit annoying. We're going to fix that, so definitely stay tuned if you want to see a video on how to fix your exhaust leaks. Gas mileage on this thing isn't terrible. Like I said, 6-speed automatic. Right now it's saying our average is around 19, which again isn't terrible for a over 400 horsepower V8. Oh my God, this thing is vibrating the hell out of me. All right, hammer down. Now you'll hear the shifts on this transmission are lazy. It's not a very fast shifting transmission. It's nowhere near that of the ZF in the Durango or the Aisin in the Lexus. But it's a transmission and it shifts and it's reliable, and that's what people love about these transmissions. The automatic Mustang of this generation is faster than the manual because of this transmission. So yeah, I'm gonna knock it because it doesn't shift as fast, but it's reliable, and the people that built these cars to race them actually prefer it. So they must know what they're talking about and what they're doing. So I'll take their word for it. Now this does have the sport shift, so you can also, like the Lexus, downshift it. So I'm down into second gear now, around 4,000 RPM. And it will let you hit the limiter. That's what we just did, which is pretty cool. A lot of these cars will make you shift or force the shift. This will not do that. Overall, it's a fun car to drive. But like I said, I wouldn't want to drive this every day, especially with the modifications that have been done to it. It is just not the most comfortable car to drive on a daily basis. Spun the tires there on the 1-2 shift. And we have some big tires on the back of this thing too. There's some 305s back there, and it's still spun. Yeah, the Coyote V8 is an excellent engine. Like I said, it feels very similar to that of the Lexus in forms of in power delivery. But like I said, beyond that, they're totally different cars. I feel like the Lexus might pull quite a bit harder up top than this does, but there is a, you know, almost 40 horsepower difference. You're talking about 420 to 467. So what is that? 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. It's over 40 horsepower difference. So that's probably what we're feeling. I haven't looked at the, you know, the weight of this compared to the Lexus. But with this having a solid rear axle, those things are not light. I'm sure they are probably within a couple 100 pounds of each other. I'll look that up just because now I'm curious. This car is very in your face. There is no chill mode with this car. You feel like you're driving a all-out purpose-built performance car when you're driving this car, whereas with the Lexus, like I said, it's like a mullet, excuse me. You got the business in the front, the party out back at the rear wheels with 470 horsepower behind you. This car is just all party in the back. Solid rear axle wants to kill you. It always wants to kick out, hence all the Mustang memes at the car meets and all the Mustang crashes. If you don't know how to drive a car, the Mustang is not the car for you, because I promise you, you will crash. So don't do that. Now we are having a problem with this car. Whether it's a problem or not, I don't know. When we bought it, it was tuned. I can tell it was tuned because of how hard it was shifting. So we brought it to the Ford dealer. I know a technician that works there, and after hours, he went ahead and he flashed what is known as the as-built data back onto the PCM. Now, the reason I wanted him to do that was because I was not sure if this thing was tuned for specific parts, and then those parts very well could have been removed when it was traded in, and I had no way of knowing if the correct tune was in it. Now, since we've went ahead and flashed that factory tune back in, it drives like a stock car, it shifts like a stock car, but I cannot get it to pass inspection. There is there's two readiness monitors that it will not run no matter how much I drive it. It won't run the oxygen sensor or the heated oxygen sensor readiness monitor, and I'm not sure why. I've went in with my scan tool and I've checked current data 100 times. I can see the oxygen sensors, I can see them switching, they're at the correct voltage. It just won't run the monitors, and it's irritating me. So if any of you watching have ever had one of these cars with a similar issue, comment down below, let me know what you did to fix it. I'm at the point where I'm probably gonna order 4 oxygen sensors and just chuck them at it and see how we make out, because here in New Jersey, this car really technically does need to have an emissions inspection. Right now, we have no check engine light. When we bought it, we did have to replace the canister purge valve because I had a incorrect purge flow code. But it's been, it's been great since. No codes, no issues. It won't run the monitors, and it's driving me insane. So, like I said, if you know anything that I might be missing, throw it in the comments down below. She kicked out on me there. The Lexus won't do that. The Lexus will spin them, but it'll stay straight. This thing wants to kill me. Alright guys, we're here in the Durango. First things first, I'm sorry if you can't see me. It's getting a little dark out, and every single window in this thing is tinted. The windshield, the side windows, the back windows. This car is a tint machine. Now this is probably the most tame car of the group to drive. This is a very, very comfortable drive. And this is not a performance-oriented V8. This is basically a truck engine. So it's a cast iron block pushrod V8, and it drives like one. It's not like the Lexus, and it's not like the Mustang, where they have not a whole lot of grunt down low, but a ton of power up top. This is the opposite. Most of its power is down low, and it peters off up top because it's a pushrod V8 and it can't breathe as well. That's where the difference is with these. As far as power delivery is concerned, we're comparing apples to oranges. It's a different style engine, and it's in a different type of vehicle. but it still does have V8 power, and it moves pretty good. You see if you can see me any better if I put this window down. No, not even a little bit. Now before this, we had a 2015 Jeep Grand Cherokee WK2, and they are based on the same platform as this truck. But this is basically an extended wheelbase version. It has the available third row where the Grand Cherokee didn't. And I told my fiance Emily that if we're going to trade in her Jeep, we're going to do it once and we're going to do it right. So we were originally shopping for SRT8s, but they're so expensive it just wasn't worth it. So we figured we'd get the 5.7. We have her Mustang, and then I went out and bought my Lexus. So we have our fun cars, and then we have our family car with a V8 under the hood that we can tow stuff with. Yeah, it's not going to break your neck. It's not like stupid fast, but it's got a sport mode. We're going to go ahead and put it in sport mode now. I'll make a couple downshifts here. So we're in second gear, coming out of the turn. And it shifts so fast with the paddles that the exhaust farts. It farts at you when it shifts, which I think is hilarious. Now what's fun about this car, or this truck, is that you can drive it at the limit and not get in trouble. With my Lexus, when I floored it on this road, we were speeding. With the Mustang, when I floored it, very much speeding. In this car, I barely touched 60 back there. So again, I'm in fourth gear now, doing about 50. Let's downshift it back to third. Let's hit second. I gotta slow down a little bit for second. Okay, and let's hit it. So it's still, I hit 60 there. It sounds good. It throws you back in the seat a little bit. And you can put your kids in the back. All four of them. For 2021 Dodge, Fiat, Chrysler, whatever the hell you want to call them, they added all of the performance apps to the RT, where previously they were only available in the SRT. So if we go through our multimedia head unit, whatever you want to call it, infotainment here, you can go into the performance apps. You can look at things like oil temp, intake air temp, coolant temp. You can do track times. So there's a lot of neat things you can do with this thing, even though it's not really fast. But it's still fun to drive. It's probably the most fun family SUV I've ever had. Now, one thing that I really don't like about this car or this truck that I make a point of turning off every time I get in it is the eco mode. And that is because this has the Dodge and Chrysler's variable displacement system, where it shuts down cylinders. Number one, that's terrible for the engine. You know, the lifters are prone to failure. And number two, when it shifts into that mode, the truck feels like it's falling on its face. Like, you can feel it, and I don't like it. So I turn that off. I usually leave eco off, and if I'm really in the mood to drive spirited, I'll put it in sport mode. Alright guys, so we went ahead and put this thing into sport mode. Sport mode is going to do a couple of things. It's going to change the shift points, it's going to change the throttle response, it's going to keep you in a lower gear when you're cruising, and it's just going to make the truck a little bit more spirited and more willing to play. So it is going to like to downshift a little bit more, like you just saw, and it's going to hold the gear a little bit longer. Now, one thing I love about this truck is the all-wheel drive launches. It's got all-wheel drive, so the tires don't spin, it just hooks. So we're at a stop sign here. I'm just going to load the powertrain up a little bit. Like I said, we are in sport mode. You can hear this thing just fire and shifts off. This transmission is awesome. And we didn't even hit 50 there, so I didn't really break any rules. Like I said, you can have fun with this truck without doing stuff, you know, that's super illegal. We got some turkeys crossing the road here. Welcome to West Creek. Jesus, turkeys can fly? Did you guys see that? Alright guys, so for those of you that are still watching, I greatly appreciate you watching my videos until the very end. In my analytics, it shows that most of my viewers stop watching after about 4 minutes. So I do appreciate it if you guys watch them all, you know, all of my videos full length, and it helps the channel a lot. This is our first video with our new camera equipment. We upgraded our camera equipment, we upgraded our microphones, and with this new V8 Dream Garage that we've created here, we kind of want this to be a new chapter for the channel. And we hope that you guys, my viewers and my subscribers, embrace this with us, and hopefully we can take this channel to the next level and do some more things that we want to do. So with that being said, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Comment down below, let me know if you can build your own V8 Dream Garage. What cars would you put in it? I'd like to hear some of your responses. We have a little bit of everything here. We have some Japanese muscle, we have a pony car, and then we have an SUV. So with that being said, if you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you guys very soon.